All right, this is a little demo I converted from C, and it's just the VSprite that I'm moving around with the arrow keys. And this has been compiled with High-Speed Pascal. I also converted it to work with Free Pascal as well. We'll look at that afterwards. Um, but let me switch over to also the 1.3 version. Very similar, works exactly the same way. It's the same code. When you compile it with the High-Speed Pascal, it works with 1.3 as well if you don't use any additional features in the Amiga OS. So again, this works just the same. The VSprite can go out of the window bounds, so it doesn't have to exist inside the window. So that makes it different than the Bobs, which have to live inside there. And let's look at the code now. So I've converted this from the C version, which was in Robert Peck's book. So this is the C version, and I've tried my best to keep it very similar. Some things I did have to change, but otherwise it looks very similar. You should be able to compare. The C version has more comments. I left all the comments in. The Pascal version has less comments, but it's also more readable if you can read Pascal. So practically the same, almost line by line. There are a few areas that it's different. And what I want to show you is how to actually change the VSprite image. So here it is, the image we were just looking at and moving around. Here it is right here, and here is the palette that it uses. So what I'll do next is, let me just bring up my program here. And if we switch our palette to the Amiga palette for color, this allows us to export uh, VSprite. So if we go to the Pascal section here, we could export a VSprite. So what I'll do is just draw, let me modify the palette first. Let's just choose some completely different colors. All right. And I will draw, let's say, a simple shape here. Let me first make the dimension 16 by 16. V-sprites can be taller than 16 pixels height. And if you want to do that, choose a different size and basically clip the first 16 pixels wide, and then the height could be anything. So that's how you'd create taller images than outside of 16 by 16. But let me first just demonstrate this. And let me find, yeah, let's put it down in the middle. Okay, so that's a nice little shape. And let's come to export it here, and okay, I will call it just image. Let me call it pass image. And I will export the palette as well. It's a different location. It's under palettes here. Export Pascal again, and it's the VSprite color array. We'll call it pass image pal. All right, so let me switch back to Visual Studio Code, and let me open those files. Okay, I think this is it. And I will just replace this. Let's cut and paste. We'll replace this right here. I want to keep the name the same. Okay, and the palette now. All right, let's save it. So we have an updated VSprite palette and VSprite image. Everything should compile fine because we didn't change the names. And this is our Highspeed Pascal. It's opened the location of our example program. And this is the same code we just worked on. So let's make sure it compiles. And it does. All right, so if we run it now, you'll notice that we have the little shape we just created. And we can resize our window, move it around just like before. It goes through it. And if we click our close, it exits the program. And if we jump to, so this is running the old version, let's exit out of it. And if we rerun the program, we should get the new version, and here we go. So same program, even though I compiled it, and in Amiga OS 3.1, it still works with 1.3. I haven't used any of the special features of Amiga OS 3.1, so it works just fine. And when I'm loading the libraries, I'm checking for a minimum of the earlier versions, which are, let's go back into the code here. So here's the versions I'm checking for the graphics library and intuition library, version 33. So anything newer than 33 should still work, but anything less, the libraries will not load up. So let me just go over some of the code. I'm not doing everything correctly here, just to keep the code short. When I'm opening the libraries, I'm not checking if they're actually succeeding. Um, Here we go. Let me locate that. So I am checking, but I'm not really doing anything about it. So I have a little procedure called initlibs. It loads them up, but if one of them doesn't load, it just simply exits. If if they don't load, the program will crash. But I'm not checking for that. We can do a better job here by using some kind of cleanup routine, maybe called the cleanup routine I created here that gets executed at the end. But for now, it's not doing all that much checking. So here it runs that routine. This is the start of the program. We define our screen here, um, our window. These are all the options. You can remove most of these except the close gadget, and it will speed things up. Here's some interesting bit of code here. With the Pascal versions, including Free Pascal, the type that's used here is a short integer, which goes from negative 127 to negative 128. But in the C version, libraries are using unsigned short, which goes from 0 to 255. And I'm not quite sure how to convert the values between those at this moment, but minus 128 seems to do the job. Other numbers probably do as well. In the various books I've looked, some of them use this method to allocate memory for these two options here. Um, I just use regular arrays, seems to work just fine. Um, so I left them in here just in case certain compilers or maybe on real Amigos you do actually need this. I'm not quite sure. Uh, Here we're copying the VSprite image from the array to chip memory. Uh, Now the C compilers have an option. Let me switch the C source code here. That makes this really easy that we don't have to use that step. So this VBC compiler uses double underscore chip to specify that everything in your image array will go into the chip memory. Highspeed Pascal doesn't have that option, and neither does Free Pascal. So we have to manually copy the contents to chip memory. And this is okay. Maybe in the future, this is something that Free Pascal will adopt and make it easier as well. But for now, this is what we have to work with. In terms of the code, High-Speed Pascal and Free Pascal are actually very similar. Free Pascal does have additional features and object-oriented programming classes, all that nice stuff. But at the moment, it does create bigger executables, and it's only limited to running on the newer versions. It doesn't run on 1.3. Your final exe will not run on Amiga OS 1.3. So this is the Free Pascal version, and this will compile with the Free Pascal 3.2 cross compiler. That's what I've been using. I don't know about the native compiler. It should work as well. Try it out. Let me know. But again, here's the similar code. One thing we don't have to do in FreePascal is manually load up the libraries. Just by including them in your uses here, it automatically loads and unloads them when your program finishes. Um, a few things. Several of the types are different than high-speed Pascal. So if you're programming on that and want to switch to free Pascal, there's a few things you should be aware of. So let me show you some of the types here that I've had to change. Okay, so when we're creating a new screen, if we look down here, we have instead of being just custom screen, it's custom screen underscore F, and instead of just type, it's S type. And this is because I guess there's name clashes that you can't use type because it's already a reserved word. Um, and I don't know about custom screen, it must be used somewhere else as well. That's why we have custom screen underscore F. And the same thing for the window flags. We have W type here instead of just type. And a lot of little things like this. So the VSprite flags, instead of just being VSprite, it's VSprite underscore F. And that's most of it. Everything else is just very minor. So you can take a look, and almost everything line by line looks familiar. If it looks a little different, sometimes it's not a big part. You should be able to find an equivalent. So far, everything I've tried that has worked in high-speed Pascal has also worked in free Pascal. So that's a good indication that, you can do some pretty good things with the free Pascal compiler. And the good thing, it's at the moment actively supported. So I think that's where I will end this video. I'm not going to show you how to compile with free Pascal because I'm using a cross compiler, and it's a little uh, cumbersome to copy files back and forth. Maybe when I have that improved, we'll do another run and do free Pascal. But I will upload these examples to GitHub, and you can try them out. Let me know. And I think that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.